they looked like. Okay, so let's have a look quickly. Molar mass of glucose. I know you can probably do it and it's quite easy, but just quickly talk me through it. Inesh or Laura or Tandy or somebody, how would you work out the molar mass of glucose? I'll just pick on someone, I'll say Laura.
You would find the value of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
Correct, and you can see that's given in the question there, so you don't even need the periodic table. And then how would you calculate it?
So then you would say 6 times 1.
Correct, for the hydrogens. Oh,
yes,
hang on.
And then you'd say...
Oh, hang on, slow down for a second. Are you sure it's 6 times 1 or is it 12 times 1?
Oh, no, sorry, that's, 12 times 6.
12 times 6, correct. So 12 times 6 for the carbons, that's correct. And then what would you add?
Plus 12 times 1.
Correct, for the hydrogens, and then for the oxygens.
6 times 16.
Correct. And then you get a big number. I think it's 180 something, if I'm not mistaken. Or it's even bigger, I don't know. It could be even bigger. I don't have a calculator with me, so I can't have a look.
180.
180, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Now the sneaky thing here is that when you work out the molar mass for the ethanol, you have to ignore the 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scratch that out for a second. Just get rid of the 2. And the molar mass of ethanol is based on just the formula of ethanol. The 2 comes from the balancing of the chemical equation. So we need to work out just the molar mass of ethanol on its own. Also, Inesh, quickly talk me through that.
So what we have to do is we say 2 times 12.
Correct, 2 times 12.
Plus 1 times 5.
Correct, 1 times 5.
Plus 1 times 16.
Correct.
And then plus 1.
Plus 1 for the hydrogen at the end.
It will give us 46.
46, that makes sense, correct. Cool. And that's just the molar mass of ethanol. So I don't want to confuse you, but I want to tell you that that is the molar mass of ethanol on its own. Well, then what you got to do is you got to look at the balanced chemical equation, and I'll take that away. Yeah, talk to me, Dr.
No, sir, I didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry, I thought somebody said wait. Cool. Now what we've got to do is we've got to look at the ratio. I don't know if I can zoom out here. No, I can't. We've got to say that it's 180 and the ratio is to 2 times 46. Cool. And that 2 over there comes from the 2 in the balancing of the chemical equation. So this 2 over here, oopsie, that's the 2 highlighted. Let's make it light. There we go. That 2 over there is that 2 over there. So the ratio then becomes 180 makes 96. Cool, everyone happy with that step? I think that might be the most confusing part, is that the molar mass of glucose on its own is 46, but we're going to multiply it by 2 because of the balancing of the chemical equation. Cool, everyone happy with that?
92.
You are correct, it's 92. Sorry, I tried to do it in my head and I made a big mistake there. So it's 180 goes to 92. So in other words, the ratio of glucose to ethanol is 180 to 92. So if I had 180 grams of that, I could make 92 grams of that. Cool. And then the question just asks how much could be produced from 36 grams. And then this becomes, let's call it in brackets, X. X meaning it's just the unknown quantity. And then however you solve ratios is completely up to you. There's about 1,000 ways to do ratios. Cool. So what would you do, Laura? What would your method be to solve this as a ratio?
So I would say 180 divided by 36.
Yeah, makes sense. I would do the same.
Which is 5.
Correct.
So I divide 92 by 5, which is 18.4.
Correct. So then you say 92 divided by 5, which is, sorry, say it one more time.
18.4.
18.4. Inesh, you happy with that?
Yes, sir.
Good. So there's no mistake there. And then we can check on the mark scheme if it's correct, but I'm sure it is, so I don't doubt you. But the mark scheme is there, and then you can just go have a look, and that is correct. So it's 18.4. Cool. So based on the first question, Tandy and Dacho, any questions on that?
No, sir.
You good? Cool, so pretty straightforward. Just find the molar mass of both, and then you multiply by the number on the balanced chemical equation. Then you find the basic ratio. So you find this ratio over here. And once you have that ratio, this 36 is not important. That 36 is just part of the question. They could have given you any value there and you could have gotten any different answer. Also, that 36 is not that important. The important part here is the 180 goes to 92. Cool.
Yeah.
So here they talk about volume and they talk about this room temperature and pressure. That's our next topic, so don't worry about that yet. For now, we're just going to focus on the mass. So there's nothing different about the question. We're just going to focus on the mass of carbon dioxide. Cool, so we're not going to worry about what the volume stands for yet. We'll do that afterwards. Cool, so just Thandi or Dacho, talk me through what I need to do in terms of using the mass of the propane to work out the mass of the carbon dioxide. So whenever you see a chemical and you want to work out the mass, what's the first thing you think of? What's the first conversion you need to make? Or what's the first thing you need to calculate?
Wouldn't you balance it?
You would balance it, correct? And it is balanced. So you can see they've got the 3 and the 5 and the 4. So it's completely balanced. And then what is it about a specific molecule that you can calculate?
After that, you can...
Also, what can I do with this in terms of a calculation and all of these little numbers that they've given me over here?
Oh, you could multiply.
Correct. So we can work out the molar mass. Also, we can work out the molar mass. So based on carbon, they tell me that carbon's 12 and hydrogen's 8. What formula could you use to work out the molar mass?
Wouldn't you say 8 times 12?
8 times 1 for hydrogen.
Or 8 times 1 and,
correct.
And 3 times 12.
Correct. And you're going to add it to 3 times 12. I don't have a calculator, Inesh or Laura. Just quickly check for me what that is.
44.
44.
44, you say? Yeah, good. And then on this side here, we have to work out the mass of carbon dioxide. So Dacho, quickly talk me through that.
You would say 3 times 12 again.
Correct. 3 times 12. And then you add it to...
6 times 16.
Correct, 6 times 16. Now, strictly speaking, that's not the molar mass. That's the total mass, including the 3 that's using to balance the equation. So that would be 3 times the molar mass of the entire compound. Ooh, so nothing wrong with that, but that's one way of doing it. And then quickly, just someone in the background, what's the value for that?
132.
132. Cool. Then you can write your... Sorry, I'm going to erase a little bit here just to clean up the page a bit. So take away that. And we can say that the ratio then is 44 makes 132. So 44 grams of propane will make 132 grams of carbon dioxide. Also, that's your basic ratio, so your initial ratio. And then you just read the question and you see what is the starting amount that they talk about. And they talk about here 1 kilogram of propane. Also, this here becomes 1 and that here becomes, let's call that inverted commas, X. Cool. So how would you do that, Dacho? What would you, in terms of a ratio, how would you solve that?
I would say 44 times X.
Correct, yeah.
Equals to 132.
Correct.
And then you can say 132 divided by 44.
Correct. And then the answer will become 3. So that's perfect. That's one way of doing it. Cool. Everyone happy with that? Inesh, are you happy?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Laura, are you happy?
Yes, sir.
Good. Thandi, sorry, I forgot about you. Thandi's happy?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Are you happy with the fact that once we've got the ratio, the 44 grams, that makes 132 grams, the number that we put over here Sorry, let me just do that in a different color. The number that goes here in red, that could be any number. That could be part of the question. They could have said use, let's say, 20 kilograms. And then you just use the ratio and you solve instead of 1 kilogram, you solve for 20 kilograms.
So
Yeah, talk to me.
it says the mass of carbon dioxide. Does it mean like the 3 carbon dioxides together or just one?
The total mass. So in other words, that's a very important question. I'm glad you asked it. It literally means that, so I'll draw this, and it's going to sound a little bit weird, but it literally means that if you take 1 kilogram of propane, it's going to be converted into, obviously carbon dioxide is a gas, it's going to be converted into 3 kilograms of CO2. So that is the exact amount. So 1 kilogram of propane will make 3 kilograms of carbon dioxide.
Okay.
So when we do these questions, it's literally saying whatever you start with, we can calculate the amount that we're going to end with. And that's the answer. That's the value that you end up with. Well, does that answer the question?
Yes, because by the previous question, the ethanol, we
Sure.
just calculated the molecular mass of 1.
Correct. But we did afterwards, I can't zoom out here, sorry. But if you can see, there's the 2 just at the top of the screen there. We did multiply it. We did multiply it by 2 before we worked out the ratio. So I can zoom that down a little bit there. So what Dodger did is he skipped working out the molar mass and he multiplied it by the 3 immediately in the second question. So he actually, I wouldn't say cheated, but he skipped a step. You want to do it
Okay,
with
so
what?
molar,
Yeah. Let's
so
do it.
molar,
Yes.
no, so molar mass is just of 1 and
Of
the
1,
mass is
correct. Of
Okay.
everything, correct. So let's do it a different way. Let's do it if we were going to do it properly with the molar mass, not properly, differently. Sorry, Dodger, you did nothing wrong. You can do the carbon dioxide on its own, and you can say 1 times 12, and you can add it to the 2 times 16, and that'll give you 44. Cool, but then you have to multiply that by the number on the balanced chemical equation. So you've got to take that 3 over there, and you've got to say that your ratio is, whoopsie, I don't want the highlighter, I want pencil, that, pencil. Then you're going to say your ratio is 44 goes to 3 times 44. Does that make a bit more sense?
Yes, so thank you.
Cool. So that 3 and the 3 that I'm multiplying there is exactly linked to that 3 over there on the periodic table. But the molar mass of carbon dioxide is 44. It's just a coincidence. These 2 chemicals have the same molar mass. It's just weird. They actually do have the same molar mass. So they both have a molar mass of 44. That's just coincidence. There's nothing funny or strange about that. Cool. So when you work it out, the ratio turns out to be 44. Oh, I don't want that pencil. I want regular pencil. Sorry. It turns out that the ratio here is 44 goes to 92. So it's, in other words, like I think you did it yesterday, you simplified it. You said the ratio would then be 1 to 3. Oops, sorry, the screen stopped sharing. Screen stopped. Let's get the screen back. Just give it a few seconds. So unless there's any other questions, I'll leave it there for today. I don't want to bore you by going through every single one of them. But do you see it's not that difficult. All you do is you find the molar mass and then you multiply it by the number on the balanced chemical equation. Then you use that ratio plus whatever's given in the question to find out whatever is asked in the question. Sorry, the iPad has stopped. Let me just stop it completely and see if I can reset. Cool. Unless there's any questions, I think we'll leave it there for today. I don't want to keep you for too much longer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So just keep going through the questions, and you're going to see it's exactly the same thing. They're going to give you a balanced chemical equation, and they're going to ask you questions about using something, how much can I make? Cool. So it's always going to be using this amount. You can't see the screen, but in any case, but they're all the same.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Just see if I can go one more time with the screen share, then I'll leave you. There we go. Cool. So exactly the same thing. What mass of silver bromide can be made from 5 grams of silver nitrate? What's the maximum mass of calcium sulfate from calcium chloride? Calculate the mass of ethanol that can be made from 1 kilogram of ethene. Cool. So you'll see that it's basically exactly the same kind of questions every single time. Cool. Before we go, any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Good. Laura, you happy?
I'm happy. Thank you, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. Just keep working on them. If you don't have time, you can do them later. But the mark scheme is there. You just work on them in your own time, and then you ask me for help if you need any.
Yes, sir.
Cool, guys. See you tomorrow.
Bye,
Bye, sir.
Bye,
Bye-bye. Be
thank
good.
you.
You're welcome.